This video is brought to you by Miniature Market. Thousands of board games, discounted prices, miniaturemarket.com.
Hello my friends of the Game Boy Geek here. Today, the king is about to die, and so all of us are trying to do our best to be the next in line to take over his castle, his throne, and everything that comes with it. Today we're talking about For Crown and Kingdom. This is a new game from Rio Grande Games, 2 to 4 players. It says plays in 45 minutes. More on that later. Let's take a look. Now in For Crown and Kingdom, what you're trying to do is get a token of your color on all of the regions. Now this is a modular board and scales well with players. This is a 2-player game and you have 2, 4, 6 areas. So as soon as you have one token on each, you would win. But in a 3-player game, you randomly shuffle and flip some of these tiles over a certain amount, so that there's 9 regions. Some of these tiles are now cut in half, so you'd have to get one token of 9. And with 4 players, they would all be flipped to the side to have 2 areas per tile, and it's random every time as to how they're laid out, but you would need to get 12 tokens in a 4-player game. Let's look at the 3-player game. So here we have 3-player game set up through a sort of a drafting method. Everybody will be placing all their tokens one at a time on the board until it's completely full. Now each player does get their own player aid and their own pieces here, and it's double-sided for 2 players or 3 players, slightly different rules. And now each of these have double-sided, so this guy actually looks the same, but this one has a hood, and then he doesn't. This is a guy, and then you've got, a woman there. You've got a woman and a man, and then everyone has their Duke piece, which these ones actually look different for every player. It's a little confusing, but this is the piece that really scores, so I understand why they did it. Now what you try to do here again is get those tokens on the end of the board, and how you do that is basically what's going to happen is most of the time in your turns, you're simply going to move a character and then basically do its ability. Now, each character has, I showed you all the same types of characters. This is the yellow player's Duke. Let's say he's the first player. Anytime you move somebody, by default, you're going to move them clockwise, however many places that there are people. So because there's 2 people here, he's going to move 2 clockwise. 1, 2. Then he'll activate his special ability. The Dukes, or Duchess, if it's flipped over, would place their token here if they have a majority of their colors more than any of the other colors here. So if there was a red here and a purple here, well, we wouldn't necessarily have a majority because there's 2 of us and there's 2 of other people combined. But in this case, there's just us. We have a majority. Good, I get to score this. I'm one of the 9 ways there at this point. It would then be the next player's turn. Let's say it's purple player's turn. Right here, there's 3 people. He's going to move his thief. 1, 2, 3, because there were 3 people. And the thief can steal coins, 2 coins for either of those players, the yellow or the red player. Just steal coins from them. Now you start with 2 coins at the beginning of the game. The red player moves his merchant. 1, because he's the only player here. There's only 1 character. And he gets to take coins. 1 coin for every character here, including himself. So he would just get 3 coins from the bank. Let's say yellow one to move the scholar. There's 3 people. They'll move 3. 1, 2, 3. And the scholar allows you to activate the ability that's on that tile. So this person would gain 4 coins because the scholar activates that ability. Some of them would gain 2 points. And I'll show you what some of these other ones do later. Now let's just say it's the red player's turn. He has the knight. He's going to move 1 clockwise because there's only 1 player. The knight can imprison anybody that's there. It's the only move that's optional in the game. This is the Duke of the purple player. This is the guy that scores. Basically, he will imprison them. He takes it off the board, and gives it to that other player. The purple player puts it in front of him, and he's imprisoned. Well, how do you get him out of prison? There's a few ways. One of them is some of the special abilities on the tile. If you move your scholar here, remove all your imprisoned characters to any one region. So you can get them out if you're able to get your scholar there to activate it. Now also some of these other special abilities, some of them are like, add any token, add your token to any region. This one is remove an opponent's token from this region. So some of these just kind of mesh with people. Some of them move people around. Now, I've just shown you movement and character ability, but at the beginning of your turn, before you do those, you have some options to bribe. And there's many things you can do. One of them is to get somebody out of prison. You can spend some coins, depending on how many people are in prison, to get them out and place them anywhere. So let's say I spent some coins and I got the Duke out, but then I can move. This guy's on 1, he can move here. I've got a majority, he scores. So sometimes you can combo these abilities together, which is very cool. You can actually spend 1 coin to move 1 less than you normally would. So this guy would normally move 2 and be here, but I'll spend 1 coin to move here, and now I get 3 coins because I moved 1 less. I can actually spend 2 coins to go counterclockwise. So this person, the Red's Duchess, would usually move 1 clockwise. They spend 2 coins and move 1 counterclockwise. They have a majority, and they put their token here to score. You can spend 3 coins to immediately use any of your character's abilities where they are, and that doesn't have to be the player that you move. So I can spend 3 coins, activate my Duchess, there's nobody else there, I have a majority, boom, there is that. Then I could just move somebody else, or I can move them. I could spend 4 coins to essentially not need a majority when the Duchess scores. So I spent 4, I go here 1 like normal, I don't have a majority, but because of I spent 4, I would get that there. And all of these different bribes and what you can do is right there on the player aid, along with all the character abilities. Very simple. Again, once you get one of these tokens on all the areas that are out there, you win. All right, well, there's For Crown and Kingdom. As you can tell, it's a pretty abstracted game. And it's pretty themeless. Yes, it has a theme about the king and trying to take him over with your dukes and thieves and stuff. But really the theme probably could have been anything, but I'd still rather play something that attempts to have a theme than something that's just looking like Othello. Now, going to the gameplay, I gotta say, this is actually an excellent 2-player game. It's fast-paced, it's back and forth. You're only having to get, I think it's 6 of the provinces, 6 points essentially, 1 supporter in each of the 6 regions. And it's really cool because, you're doing different things. Now, it is pretty cutthroat. This game is pretty mean, actually. You're stealing things, you're stealing money from people. You're bouncing that person into prison. You're constantly trying to mess them over. So if you don't like direct confrontation, this is not the game for you. But it's not the whole game. There's a lot of other things going on there, but just be warned that you will be you'll be beating each other up. And obviously in 2-player games, you're just beating each other. With more players, it kind of spreads around a little bit. But in that 2-player game, the reason why I like that the best, this game excels at 2 players and is the best player count for this game. Not only because it's quicker and it's faster and it's more streamlined that way, but you can actually do a little bit of planning. This game feels a little bit like chessy, where you're planning, you're trying to set yourself up for a good move, and maybe you're thinking, maybe 1 move ahead, maybe even 2 moves ahead. You can't really think that much more because things are changing all the time and the board's changing, but you can try to set yourself up for a next move, and the chances of that being screwed up by the other player are there, but not as much as when there's more players. So this is an excellent 2-player game. 4-player game, I will never play a 4-player game again of this. This is not a 4-player game. Sure, it works, but you're flipping it over all the tiles so that there's 12 units. So now you gotta score twice as many points with twice as many people. The game takes more than twice as long. 2-player game took us 15 to 20 minutes. 4-player game did take right around, the box says 45 minutes, which actually, the box is right, but it's really just too long of a game for a game that's this simple. It's very tactical. It's not a game of strategy, it's a game of tactics where you're constantly reevaluating what you're doing and using those tactics during the game. With 4 players, it's just too crazy. You got twice as many places to go. There's a lot of things on the board. The amount of people per little section scales because of the way the board scales with people, but it just takes too long, and it just induces more things of uncertainty, because you can't really set yourself up with this many players, because chances are your plans are going to get thwart a lot in this game. Which brings up another thing, is if you have AP, analysis paralysis, this game does elude itself to having that issue because you're thinking really hard, and with 4 players it ups that because there's so many things to think about, and the board has definitely changed so much by the time it comes back to your turn. It just stalls out a little bit more. So not for 4 players. 2 players, great. 3 players, well, it's halfway in between. It's good. I wouldn't turn down a game, but I still like it best with 2. If you're looking for that quick abstract game, this is one to look at, and I do like it enough that I am going to keep it in my gaming library because it excels so well as a quick, fun, yet deep, 2-player sort of abstracted, streamlined game. Now, it does remind me of Finca, a game that uses that rondell mechanism a lot, and I just love how these different special abilities work there. So I am going to be keeping it in my library for that reason, since it really excels at 2-player. So let's do it right and induct it with a saxophone serenade.
This video was sponsored by Miniature Market's Review Corner. The Review Corner features podcasts, video, and written game reviews by gamers for gamers. Miniature Market, the online gaming superstore. Thousands of board games, discounted prices. Check them out at miniaturemarket.com. I'd like to thank each and every one of you for backing me on Kickstarter, making this season become a reality. I'd like to especially thank those here that have backed me at the credit level. Now, these video reviews are also available by audio on our podcast. It's the intros and the final thoughts on GameBoyGeek.com. Click podcast.